Everyone, Super Marcy, right here. I decided to do some video logs for my 31 days of horror for October, which basically the concept of 31 days of horror is because October has Halloween on the 31st, to basically just watch horror for the whole month. So for my 31 days, I decided to choose one horror movie, that I hadn't seen before, and watch, a new movie every single day for 31 days. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to document in the video form. So this first one is for my first 5 days and 5 movies, because it's currently the 5th of October and I've watched 5 movies. So yeah, bear with me. My first video, the quality is probably not the greatest. I'm just doing it with my webcam. So here we go. Day 1. I decided to watch Patrick from 1978, which is an Australian horror movie / exploitation cult film. And it's one I'd really wanted to see for a long time, but I could never find it anywhere. And in this day and age, things are just that much easier to find. So I managed to track it down for the 31 days. And I figured I'm Australian, I'll watch an Australian movie. Yeah, good logic right there. So, yeah, so I think, well, I don't regret that choice. Patrick actually turned out to be a fantastic film. It wasn't really what I was expecting because I was, guy in a coma, how could that be interesting? But it sort of took this premise that this guy's kind of a bit twisted and he ends up in a coma after he kills his mother and her lover by electrocution. And the opening scene's actually really well done. It's quite disturbing in that context. So we then see that he's laid up in a hospital with his eyes open. He's in a coma. He's been there for a few years, and a new nurse comes in, and as part of kind of the initiation to the nurse's position, like with the new ones, they make them look after Patrick. And something seems a little odd about Patrick. So this new nurse slowly discovers that Patrick is kind of awake in there and he's very aware of what's going on, and he has these like telekinesis type powers. And it's this almost a bit of a slow build up, but it's not like a boring kind of thing. It's actually really interesting because it slowly builds it up and you can see there's these things going on and you're not quite sure about what it is or why. And as everything kind of slowly reveals, it's really good. Like, it's quite surprising. And I can't remember his name at the moment, but the actor that plays Patrick, I mean, he just sits there through the whole film with his eyes open. He doesn't blink at all. But just the way he's sitting there, it's scary. You can feel that there's more going on behind his face. So, yeah, it was real well done. All the actors were great. I think they shot it here in Victoria. And, for something, around over 30 years old, like, it just felt really, I don't know, almost ahead of its time in a way with their ideas, and just highly recommended. I mean, I really liked it. I just don't know what to say. I feel like what I say is just not going to do it justice. So, yeah, check that out if you can find it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5. And day 2, I decided to check out The Blood Spattered Bride. I always pronounce splattered. I always say it wrong. The Blood Spattered Bride. This one was an earlier film from 1972, I believe. A Spanish, I was going to say ghost, but it's not really a ghost movie. It's like a Spanish horror, gothic, very sexual kind of movie. And I'd heard about this a lot from Quentin Tarantino and Eli Roth. Not that I know them personally, but in interviews and other things that they do, they always had mentioned this movie. And with the title like that, I thought, yeah, that sounds interesting. I should go and check that out. And, well, I mean, it's not the greatest thing ever, but it's a very solid and interesting film with a lot of good ideas. It's very artistic. So when you see specific scenes, there's a double meaning. The premise is like you've got a newlywed couple and the bride has to deal with, in a way, her husband's crazy sexual desires, and she's a bit on the frigid side. I don't like the word, but it's the only word I can think of to describe it. So you deal with that, and there's all these weird fantasies, and they go off into this like isolated manor, and the bride begins to have these nightmares, and it incorporates this woman who, in turn, the husband actually finds on the beach in the strangest scene you're likely to ever see involving a lady on a beach. So when she comes back to the house, you know, more stuff's revealed, but it's again, it's another slow build film where it starts off, it's kind of violent and sexual and erotic in this very strange way, and it's so beautifully shot. It is like living art in a way. If you looked at a portrait or a picture of these people, it comes to life like that. It looked stunning. It's really well shot, a great atmosphere. As strange as it sounds, it's something, you know, you should see if, you know, that's your kind of thing. You need to be able to understand or appreciate the art house type. It's kind of on that level. It's, in a way, I got a bit of a Del Toro vibe. Like, I think that he probably would have seen this or filmed similar and taken some of that into what he does. So yeah, there was that one. And day 3, I changed it up a little bit. I decided I was finally going to tackle Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'd heard about this movie for such a long time. I was like, alright, I'm gonna go watch this movie, and I'm thinking the worst in my head, like, oh, it's gonna suck. No, this movie is awesome. If aliens come to Earth, I want them to be the killer clowns. Even if they're killers, they're awesome. Like, I couldn't think of a better way to go than to be clown food. Yeah, it's a cheesy B-grade film. It doesn't take itself seriously. You know, the acting is less than spectacular, but that's part of the charm and the fun of it. And the clowns are so unique. They have their own personalities. Their makeup is so well done. I don't know how they did it for the budget that they did, but seriously, props. It's just fun. Like, it's a good time. It's like you can just put on and your bad mood be gone. Like, Troll 2 is my go-to bad mood movie, but I think Killer Clowns is going to start taking its place, because I think I can just put this movie on, instant good mood. It's just so funny. I'm just like struggling to think of how to describe it. It's Killer Clowns. They come from outer space. Like, my favorite scene is the clowns have like a track dog, but it's like a balloon toy dog. It's hysterical. Like, see this movie. If you've seen it already, go watch it again. It's awesome. Let me see. What did I watch for day 4? Day 4 was House of the Devil. And this was something I was meant to watch last year for my marathon. And I think, including rewatches, I only got through about 17 horror films. So this was on the list. I just didn't quite get to it. And I guess opinions I'd heard that it was very slow and boring and the payoff wasn't that great. You know, I put that stuff in my head and I'm like, I don't know if I'll watch it. And I was umming and ahhing about it. So I thought, you know what? It's going on the list. I'm going to sit through it. Boy, do I feel like an idiot. Why do I listen to people that say things are boring? The film was really good. And Ty West, the writer, director, editor, you know, his idea was he wanted to do a horror film that was like a classic from the late 70s, early 80s. And that's exactly what he does. And the really good horror movies from that era, they would take the time to build up things. Like I've mentioned with Patrick and The Blood Spattered Bride. They take their time and they build up to something. And then when that hits, it's going to affect you even more. Whereas I think today people just want to like, oh, let's get this done and this done and this done. And then, you know, it's all over the place. It builds up. You care about the main character, who, by the way, totally looked like a young Brooke Adams. You really care about her, and it establishes this really creepy environment. And you're not quite sure what's going on. Like, I thought this was going to be, because I didn't actually watch any trailers or really go in depth into the, what it was about. So I thought it was like a ghost movie, but it's actually not. So I was really surprised, and I didn't really find it slow, to be honest. I wasn't bored. It actually flew by really quick. And then when the last block happens, I was just like, huh? Whoa. Such a great film, and the great Tom Noonan is in it, and he's fantastic. Like, his role was small, but that man, he can do no wrong. So, yeah, I forgot to give scores to the other films. I gave Blood Spattered Bride 4 out of 5. Killer Clowns, I think, was 3.5 out of 5. And this one's 4 out of 5 again. And today's film, which was the biggest disappointment out of the bunch, was the original My Bloody Valentine. And again, like House of the Devil, this was on my list to watch last year and I didn't get to it. And I thought, the remake was a lot of fun. It was really good, enjoyable, cheesy, B-grade type of thing. And I'm like, oh, well, the original, it's got to be better, right? No, the remake is the rare case where it's better than the original. It's not that good. It's structured strange. The way they reveal certain things, it just didn't make any sense. And I didn't like it. The story was okay for like a slasher. Mining town has a tragedy and then some guy decides to kill people on Valentine's Day. Fast forward 20 years later and nothing's really happened because of this dance that they hold, and they decide to hold this dance again, and then, what do you know, dead bodies start showing up. So it's like, oh, who's the killer? Well, there wasn't really any emphasis on who it was, so I didn't really care. The whole mining suit with the mask, that's creepy. And the killer was he was mean-spirited, he or she. Was very mean-spirited. I liked that. It had very interesting and inventive kills. Which was a really good aspect. And it's funny because my podcast co-host, Bede, I don't think he liked the mean-spiritedness of it, but I thought that was the best part of the film. The cool kills, how just mean it was. It kind of made that part interesting, but the rest of it just really wasn't. The acting was bad, and you could tell that they were really trying. So, yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with that one. So I guess, 2 out of 5 on that. So my next 5 days, I can't really remember actually what I'm going to be watching. I think tomorrow's film is Thirst, which I've really been looking forward to watching, so that should be good. I think I've got Paper House as well in there somewhere, so on October 10th I'll come back with another recap for 31 Days of Horror, and let's see if I can survive this thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, listening to me ramble. I've been Super Marcy, and you've been a really great audience, so catch you later.